Hello guys and welcome, I'm TC Lee and today we're going to have a quick chat about the Vicosa Monster Set. So Vykosa has had a number of changes over the last few patches and it's been changed again with the Markarth DLC. This time it's been given a named debuff. First of all we'll look at the full set. So for the 1 item bonus, Vykosa gets 4% healing taken. And then for the 2 items, when you bash an enemy that you've taunted, you frighten them with a Deafening Howl, applying major cowardice to them, lowering their weapon damage and spell damage by 430 for 8 seconds. This effect can occur once every 16 seconds. Major cowardice is a kind of a new debuff that's been attached to this monster set. Major cowardice isn't quite as strong as Major Maim. So Major Maim is a enemy debuff also, which reduces their damage by 10%. Major Cowardice reduces the weapon and spell damage by 430. Now, things like Lady Thorne will perform better than Vykosa. If we look at a few clips here of testing of the 2 monster sets compared to each other. So with Lady Thorne we have an initial impact hit of 26,925. When we debuff the enemy with Major Maim using Lady Thorne, we get a hit of 24,233. With Vykosa, our initial impact hit is 26,715. And when we debuff with Vykosa, we get a hit of 24,787. That's a 1,928 damage reduction with Vykosa. So, as you can see, there is a bit of a difference between the two. The only time you'd really consider using Vykosa over Lady Thorne is in a situation where you need a higher uptime. So Vykosa has got a slightly higher uptime, so it can last for 8 seconds every 16 seconds. And Lady Thorne, the Major Maim from Lady Thorne, lasts for 8 seconds and it can occur once every 20 seconds. So there's a little bit of a difference between the two in terms of the damage that's reduced. However, Vykosa does have a slightly higher uptime. Now in fights where you're taking a considerable amount of damage, you might decide to pair Vykosa with something such as Banished Torment, which has got Major Maim as one of the debuffs as part of the 5-piece set. So you could combine the two, whereas you can't combine Lady Thorne with Banished Torment in the same way because they both do the same thing. So Vykosa is potentially useful in that situation. The benefits of Lady Thorne compared to Vykosa as well is Lady Thorne is an area of effect, so it will hit all enemies within range 360 degrees around the person who activates the synergy. Vykosa is single target and will just hit one enemy. So you have to have the enemy taunted and then you bash the enemy that you've got taunted and that will apply Major Cowardice. Vykosa could be used until you can get Lady Thorne, so because it's not a huge difference between the two, so you could, if you can get Vykosa, use that until you can get Lady Thorne. Lady Thorne is much better for ad pulls and any bosses with ads. Anything where you need a higher uptime, Vykosa could be considered better slightly because of the uptime. And obviously, anything where you're using a set that already includes Major Maim, Vykosa would be used as well if you're really struggling with the incoming damage and you want to reduce the damage even more. So for this monster set, I don't think it's personally quite as good as Lady Thorne. I would rather use Lady Thorne. Obviously, you've got the self-synergy and the bigger damage on Lady Thorne. So out of 5 stars, I'll give this set 2.5 stars. When you and the reason for that is because the performance of Vykosa just isn't quite as good as Lady Thorne. And Major Cowardice doesn't stack well with other debuffs either. So when you try and use a different type of enemy debuff, so use Minor Maim, and other things that reduce the enemy's damage. When you reduce the weapon and spell damage, it doesn't stack as well as Maim. So Maim has always typically been a better option than reduced weapon and spell damage. Reduced weapon and spell damage, the way that it functions within the damage reduction calculation, becomes less and less effective the more damage reduction you add on top. So that is my reason for not giving it a higher rating. If you are taking a lot of damage, then it is an option to mix it with other sets as well. So thank you very much for watching and see you next time. Bye bye for now.